sorry. Hi, Joanne.
Good evening.
So Debbie's gonna start the meeting and then she'll call on you right after, probably right after comments from the audience.
Chrissy Zoldak is going to also join us.
Okay, great.
Hello,
Hi, Jim.
how are you?
Good. It's a beautiful day.
Sure is.
We've got a couple of people in the waiting room.
How'd you like them? Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
We have guests this evening.
Great.
Hey, Joanne.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hey, Chrissy.
Just waiting for.
Huh.
Children.
Jim, you look so fancy.
Well, I go right from this to teaching my online law school class, so this is the background I use.
Okay. Are Hal and Lily both home with you now?
Hal's back at school. They've created a little bubble at Allegheny, so they're all there, hoping they don't get COVID-19, and Lily's here.
It's like the crystal cave in Superman.
Right?
There's Gabe. All right. Dana.
And Vegas.
Oh, and Vegas.
Yeah.
Right.
Hi, Gabe.
Hi, everyone.
I just sent it to Dana's hot and she doesn't have a binder and stuff.
Texting with Dana, so she should be joining us momentarily. So this is live on Facebook. Just in case anybody wants to tell their friends to tune in.
Hot ticket.
Yeah. She is.
Looks like Dana's connecting. Here she is.
Dana? Okay,
Do we know if Ficus is joining us?
I don't
I haven't heard anything from him. Should we just get going, Jim?
waiting for Vegas still, but
We have a quorum, so let's just go ahead.
Okay. Call the meeting of the Cleveland Heights University Heights Library Board of Trustees to order at 6:36 for the roll call. Ms. Carlisle,
Present.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Present.
Ms. Llewellyn,
Present.
Mr. Gerbach,
Present.
Ms. Agamotto,
Present.
Mr. Russo,
I'm here.
Mr. Toracchia. I certify that the notification of this meeting of the Library Board of Trustees has been made. We have approval of the minutes from July 20th regular meeting, August 3rd special meeting, and August 17th special meeting. Any comments or corrections? Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Yep.
Those opposed?
Aye.
We have two visitors tonight that Nancy will introduce before we get into the agenda items.
with us tonight are Chrissy Zoldak and Joanne Fetterman from Family Connections. And they will be giving us an update on the Spark program, which has adapted to the coronavirus in very ingenious ways. And we continue to support this program. We're in our second year, correct?
Right.
Second year out of 5. And I'm very excited to hear what they have to say. So take it away.
I think I'll just start by by saying how grateful and thankful we are for the library's support. It is really a pleasure to partner with the library board and with the library staff to support families with children birth through 6. I have to quickly say, I'm going to turn it over to Chrissy for the real details about Spark, but I just want to let you know that we are planning outdoor programming in and around the Heights Library. We want families to know that it's fine for them to continue to see each other all winter long. They just need to plan accordingly in terms of dress. So we want to keep the social interaction going as much as we can. Most of all, we're looking forward to expanding Little Heights hours when it is safe to be in person indoors. So we are really happy to continue all of the programming that we're doing. And I will let Chrissy talk the specifics about Spark.
Thank you.
Sure. Just to expand a little bit about what Joanne was saying, we have been doing some in-person socially distanced play dates through Family Connections where we're demonstrating physically to our younger ones who might not understand these things, what 6 feet looks like with the length of using pool noodles between friends and drawing chalk outlines of hula hoops and distancing like that, and using inch-long pipe cleaners and using non-standard units of measurement to demonstrate that this many of these make up this many feet, and kind of sneaking a little math in there while we're playing outside on the sidewalks and in the grassy spaces around our Coventry location, and maybe in that space where you guys are planning some story times too outside of the library. So really demonstrating to our youngest members of the community what that social distancing should really look like, and giving them chances to practice wearing masks and things like that in public too. But you guys are familiar with what the Spark program looks like. It's a 12-month curriculum that normally would be a monthly in-person home visitation session. But during the time of COVID, then we have been meeting via Zoom or FaceTime or Facebook Live, whatever the families are most comfortable with, to still deliver these lessons to the families in their home. And sadly, Mr. Tarakia is actually not here tonight, but his daughters have participated in the program. So if you really want to know the scoop, you guys can touch base with him. But he will be able to share kind of what's been happening since he's been from home too. Normally, I've been working with his wife and his daughters, but he's gotten to really see what it was like firsthand through the computer while he was kind of in and around the house during the time of the pandemic then in the spring. So during the time of COVID, at this point, I'm at about half of my capacity for what the grant funding has allowed for, enrolling for this school year moving forward. So I'm feeling good about that. And we have been working with the school district to identify families once school has started during the staggered start days with kindergarten teachers, especially because they're really familiar with the family units as a whole. And they're helping us kind of disseminate the information about the Spark program through their contacts in the home with families through platforms like their Google Meets and the Class Dojo and the ways that they're communicating with families. We've been around at all the lunch distribution sites around the community, at the library, at the schools, at the high schools where children are, since a lot of the places where our young ones are typically in the playgrounds or swimming pools, there just didn't happen this year. And like most of, I don't know if anybody else here, educators on the panel, but figuring out how this is working virtually through this medium instead of in person. It's a little more challenging, interesting with our younger participants, but it's also, I'm finding the COVID silver lining is that along with working with the young people, I'm developing more deeper relationships with the parents because their children might have an attention span that would have been this in person. But then what we are really doing is working with the family to reinforce these lessons when we're not just on the screen. So I am getting more opportunities to engage with the families and the parents than I might not have been able to before the time of COVID. So we're always trying to look for that silver lining when we're doing these things. What else did I want to share with you guys?
See?
I don't know. Are there any questions specifically how it's happening during COVID?
How many families is half?
Do you have any plan? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Let me answer Nancy first, then I'll get to you, Jim.
How many families is it? You said you were at half capacity. How many children is that?
So I have 20 families enrolled now, and 40 is my goal for the year. And typically we have until December to enroll because the curriculum is based on 12 lessons. And our research really is looking at a minimum of 9 lessons, but they're showing like 8 to 10 lessons showing the most impact as far as results in the kindergarten readiness assessment and things going on in the future. So we would still have time to deliver those 8 to 10 lessons if we enroll until the end of December. But I'm really looking to like finish up enrollment before the end of October because you start to be rushed with the holidays and such. So
And you're really looking for 3-year-olds because you want them to be 3 to 4, like you want to catch them early?
No, so it follows the same guidelines for kindergarten enrollment. So their birthday would be before like 9/30/2016 being the cutoff for this year. So this is the year prior to the start of kindergarten. So they would be starting kindergarten in 2021, although we can enroll students who would be starting kindergarten in 2022. It's just in this virtual time, I'm open to taking students of that younger age. It's just a whole nother environment for a 3-year-old.
Right. Well, Colin, who is here representing Staff Association, is also a member of our Youth Services Department. So we will try to, if we see any young people or their families around, we'll try to just ask them if they've heard about Spark and if we can entice them, just as one more try.
Surely, and we had talked about installing a display case when you guys open then, which is now, right?
Right, tomorrow.
Yeah. I had come in and measured the display case, so I knew what to put in there, and spoke with one of the librarians to confirm that that those were the things. But having something physical there, and I will deliver physical flyers to the library too. But if you guys will be willing to publish something on your webpage too, the school district will also be putting it out on their website and Facebook and Twitter also.
Okay. Jim, I'm sorry to go so long. It's your turn.
No, I was just curious, do you find that everybody has technology at home to be able to interact with you?
Everybody has different kinds of technology. So the one point that was the hardest there, this is a research-based program, and there is a pre-program assessment and a post-program assessment, where normally we would be doing it in person. And since these are young people, they're not writing the answers. They're pointing to pictures on a screening tool. And so we've had to do that with images, and it's easier when I have touch technology with the students, that they can mark on something, either their parent's phone or their iPad. And the phone is also harder because it's a smaller screen, but we've made it work. Parents have been able to help. And if they haven't had that too, you know, we've photocopied things and done socially distant visits in a front yard. We're taking advantage of the warm weather while we can, and doing what we can in that way. But thankfully, I think between our school district's issuing of Chromebooks and Wi-Fi in the library, and your issuing of hotspots too, that most people either have a phone, and now they're having Chromebooks in their hands too.
Okay,
That
great.
it's not as hard as it has been in the past, because in the past, even last spring, that was not the case.
Great, thank you.
One of the things that I want to quickly add is that this year, instead of doing an evaluation of the KRA, the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment, for the cohort that just finished, well, we call it the 2019 cohort, the group that started kindergarten in the fall of 2019, because we have several years in a row to show excellent success with the children. We decided to do work with Kent State. We're going to be evaluating the 3rd and 5th graders who have received Spark when they were preschoolers compared to their non-Spark peers. So we're looking forward to doing that. That's not been done before, but we've been doing Spark long enough that we have that kind of data. So we'll be looking forward to sharing that with you. And then last but not least, I just want to some kudos to Chrissy, because doing all of this work with 3- and 4-year-old children on a screen and working with parents and trying to support parents is really exhausting. Worthwhile, but exhausting. And what used to be a once-a-month visit is now multiple touch points with the family in 1 month. So kudos to Chrissy for the hard work that she's done.
Chrissy, Vikas is joining us right now, so we can ask him to testify.
Okay. No, but I do appreciate it really, especially in this pandemic time. I do appreciate the connections that I have myself through the community and the schools and the library myself, because it really helps when you're seeing someone across the screen to have some commonalities, like, because I'm going through the same thing with my children online, even though they're bigger than the children I'm working with. We're all trying to navigate this new world and figure out how it works and do the best we can and find ways to support each other. So
How long does it
it's
take
rewarding to me.
How long does it take to complete a lesson?
Our home visits would typically be an hour session. And I have a range of children who might sit for an hour, and then we've completed what we wanted to accomplish during that time, but then they still want to tell me about what's going on, but show me around their house now and meet their pets and show me their pedicure and things that I never got to see before, because it's a whole new world, right? Like sometimes we meet at the library, and now I get to meet the other siblings who were maybe in school during the time that we met with the preschoolers. So there are things that sometimes it's distracting, but then I get to meet the whole family that might have been at high school, you know, older siblings in elementary school too. So again, you're getting to know more of the family at times too. So there are benefits to, even though we're stuck on a screen, we're getting to know more of the family, even though it seems like we should be farther apart. Some of the things bring us together some more.
So I know I missed everything she said, but
But she said you could testify that it's true.
I can. I mean, I can tell you that. So Neelam did it. My oldest kid did it for a year, and Hira has just started doing it, and it was awesome. Like even like over Zoom, it has been awesome. Like Neelam would get so excited about doing the lessons and just very excited about reading and you know, and she was always kind of like into books and all of that, but like it was something like it was a special day, like when Chrissy was going to come over, and it was special. Even it's like she was just as excited over Zoom. Like it's weird that there's no difference in the level of enthusiasm. And Hira also, my youngest daughter, gets very excited about it. You know, and it's just, it has definitely gone well and has really helped kind of maintain and push their interest in reading and kind of like thinking about stories. It's great.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Mhm.
Well, Chrissy, thank you.
Well, thanks
so
for
much.
giving us the update. I mean,
I
yeah,
want to say thank you, Chrissy. Chrissy and I were ambassadors together for years, and it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Dana. I know.
And Joanne, good
Thank
luck with your move. And we're excited to have you spend even more time at Lee Road when Kevin permits. And we're just very grateful to be partnering with you on this very important project.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you guys are free to do whatever you want now.
We'll watch it live. Get me off the screen.
Bye. Good night.
thank you. Bye-bye. All right, Debbie, lead us through the finances. You would.
Two reports that are out of the ordinary. You have all of July and August financials, but the two I wanted to point out and share is the portfolio review from Meter Investments that shows how our investment portfolio was structured. As you know, we can't buy investment instruments that are more than 5 years to maturity. Our average maturity now is 2.35 years, and we have $8.5 million in the 5-year ladder portfolio. The majority are in FDIC insured, like Federal Home Loan, Federal Farm Credit Bureau. We have money in Treasury bills and notes. And then I took a 3-hour certification class with the auditor's office that allows us to purchase commercial paper that maybe will buy a 30-day note that GE is floating before they can get a credit line established in that. So we have hit up to $200,000 a year with the portfolio, but as you can see from other reports, interest rates are just tanking. That our August interest rate at Star Ohio was 0.25, and as the same month last year, it was 2.27. So I think our heyday of gaining interest is on the wane. The next page shows a comparison of August of 2019 to 20. We did review that at the committee meeting, but I just wanted to point out that if you take away our public library fund and property tax money, we're really only $190,000 short in revenue compared to last year. And technically, without having the final second half settlement, we're truly a little bit ahead of where we were in revenue totals last year. And our expenditures are $847,000 less year to date from August of this year to last year. So our budget cuts have gone through, and we're waiting to get the final tax settlement at the end of September. And that. Does anybody have any questions on the financials? Do I have a motion to approve the financial and investment reports for July and August?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Anyone voting no? I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Levin to talk about a change in service hours that is new since the committee meeting based on some interaction we've had with the Board of Elections staff that are doing training sessions here.
Okay, this was actually, brought to my attention by my other co-directors throughout the state. We had a discussion through email about whether or not we were going to remain open for services on election day if we were a polling place. And most of them, not all, but most of them are not going to be open for public services that day, for a couple of reasons. One, we don't want to cause any more stress among people about mask wearing. And while we are allowed to enforce our own rules inside our building, we just don't want to antagonize people even more. And if they're waiting in a long line to vote, that's probably the last thing we want to start messing with people about. Also, there is some concern about unrest in the community just around voting. So we just figured the fewer people who are out in the public area, the better. So we are asking with this resolution to remain open for service at Coventry, at Noble, and in the HKIC, which has a separate entrance. But public services at UH and at the Lee Road on this side of the road, the reference and circulation will be closed that day. It's a Tuesday, so that's a 1 to 9 day. And therefore staff will be given either a choice of taking an ETO day because they need to burn through some ETO. A lot of people have a lot of extra vacation time, or they can do off the floor projects with their supervisor between 1 and 5 and then leave for the day. But they aren't to be seen by the public. They're supposed to be away from public areas. So that's the purpose of this resolution.
Any comments or questions?
We always have a security guard scheduled that day, and we will ask for extra patrols by the police department.
We'll probably have 2 security officers here at Lee Road just because of the size of the building. I imagine we'll stick with 1 at UH because that's what we typically do. And I'm going to be here that day from 1 to 9 as well.
I will probably be at a polling place because I'm generally take the day off and I am a poll worker. So, but we'll, you know, I don't want to, it's not undue. It's just an abundance of caution. Just keep things clear.
Patty, you're muted.
Hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. So is having no circulation and no staff front of house, so your staff doesn't have to deal with trying to enforce the mandate for masks that the election officials are going to be enforcing, or just so there's
Election officer said that they are not going to require people voting to wear a mask.
That was the decision of Frank LaRose.
okay.
He said, of course, we will recommend it, but we won't require it.
Okay, thank you.
And even if it changes at this point, we'll probably leave it alone because it's too hard to change the staffing. We have to make decisions a month in advance. So I'm just trying to get out in front of it for the staff. And I know, I mean, it's nice when we're here and we've always had bake sales and it's fun to see everybody, you know, and it's one less errand some people have to do, but for the sake of just keeping fewer people in the area, we think this is a good idea.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Ms. Llewellyn. Roll call, Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Llewellyn,
Yes.
Mr. Gerbach,
Yes.
Ms. Iwamoto,
Yes.
Mr. Russo,
Yes.
Mr. Toracchio.
Yes.
Next resolution to approve 27 payrolls in 2020. Technically, we were expecting to pay 2 payrolls or 27 pays in 21. And about every 7 years or so, when you're bi-weekly rather than twice a month, you're You have to go from 26 to 27. But our first pay of 2021 would have been on January 1st, and that is a banking holiday. So we're gonna do payroll on December 31st, which then shifts the 27 pays to this year rather than next year. So because that's outside the norm, I'm asking board approval, authorizing 27 pays in 2020 instead of 2021. Any questions? Motion,
I motion.
second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll. Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Llewellyn,
Yes.
Mr. Gerbach,
Yes.
Ms. Iwamoto,
Yes.
Mr. Rusa,
Yes.
Mr. Toracchio.
Yes.
Next resolution is to establish a new fund and appropriations for a Fund 280 CARES Act. The state of Ohio received money from the federal government for economic relief from the coronavirus, and they are sharing it with the libraries. And we are eligible and have received $25,000 per building. And I do have $100,000 in the bank. The period of this grant is from March 1st of 2020 to December 31st. We've already spent close to $70,000 out of general fund. What I can do is some accounting transfers and charge the general fund expenses to the CARES grant fund. And then the remaining amount of the money we'll be spending to get more PPE supplies and the cover to carry us through the next fiscal year, disinfectants, gloves, wipes, spray, signage, barriers. We're paying for the Zoom accounts we have from March through December, which is allowable. Our new tutor.com program for the students, because that was a service we brought into effect once coronavirus hit. I can prorate, it's a year-long service, but I can prorate the charges from August when it started through December to the grant. So it's helping replenish our general fund based on the fact of we've had to go above and beyond and pay for expenses we weren't anticipating prior to March. Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Llewellyn,
Yes.
Mr. Gerbach,
Yes.
Ms. Iwamoto,
Yes.
Mr. Rusa,
Yes.
Mr. Toracchio.
Yes.
Next resolution is Lee Road carpet replacement. Nancy, would you like to give a little more detail on that?
This was one of the projects we had planned for this year before the coronavirus. And we will be replacing the carpet here now after almost 13 years. And in some places you can really tell. It will be replaced everywhere with carpet squares, so it will be very easy to break this project into phases. And we also are hiring a mover to follow along with the carpet replacement so they can move furniture and things out of the way. We won't be moving the shelves, however, because it is squares. We can just go right up to the shelf and leave it blank. And if we do end up moving anything around later for projects, we can just fix it later. So we went out to our group of carpet people. We got a couple of quotes and we're recommending one of them, and then the moving service was also recommended by the carpet people, and it's the Carney McNicholas Mover Company. I think, Dana, you were asking me before who they were, and they're now called Corrigan. They're out of Youngstown. But they do libraries, so they know how to move bookshelves and keep things in order.
They emptied, stored, and replaced our UH books during our construction.
They did Noble, they did Lee Road when we built it. We've always used them.
And the Messina bid is on a state bid quote, so we don't need to go out and bid for it ourselves.
Okay?
Any questions?
The color on this side is gonna be brown with flecks of gray and black. And the color on the HK side is gonna be blue with flecks of gray and black and white. So it's very similar, but just different because it's a different building.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry, I didn't look up. Patty, thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Llewellyn,
Yes.
Mr. Gerbach,
Yes.
Ms. Iwamoto,
Yes.
Mr. Rusa,
Yes.
Mr. Toracchio.
Yes.
The next resolution is to void 2018 and 2019 checks. There's 19 checks that are dated from the beginning of 2018 through, I think, February 2019 that haven't been cashed, and attempts to reach the people that we paid the checks to have not been returned. So these checks have been voided. The amount of money has been transferred into an unclaimed fund that we have for the $1,591.72. That money stays in there for 5 years. And if no one comes in and says, hey, I got this check from December of 2018, and I would write them a new one, if no one claims any of that money, it can then transfer into the general fund after 5 years. Any questions? Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Llewellyn,
Yes.
Mr. Gerbach,
Yes.
Ms. Iwamoto,
Yes.
Mr. Rusa,
Yes.
Mr. Toracchio.
Yes.
The next item is a resolution to amend the appropriations for the Washington Boulevard Fund, which is the Coventry School Building. As you know, we're transitioning into a new lease with the tenants, and from October 1st through September of 2021, instead of me getting 7 rent checks to cover utilities, we will be getting 1 rent check that will also cover utilities and some rent. And this will necessitate me increasing it. At first, we thought it was only through June. Then we did an amendment from June through September. Now I've got to cover us from October through the rest of the year. So we need to increase the appropriation from $126,280 to $163,922 to pay all of the utilities for the remainder of the fiscal year. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Llewellyn,
Yes.
Mr. Gerbach,
Yes.
Ms. Iwamoto,
Yes.
Mr. Rusa,
Yes.
Mr. Toracchio.
Yes.
And we now have a resolution for the approval of the service and admin policy, which is pages 59 through 110 of the agenda.
Light reading.
Yes.
Right, this is one of our 3 policies that we review every year. Most of the changes this year have to do with the coronavirus pandemic, and those were marked in red. And I did also create a separate appendix for all the coronavirus different policies that we've changed, so it's at the end as well. And I think the only other substantive thing that we changed was that we can no longer post signs in the Peace Park that say no concealed carry, because it's public land and it's not a school anymore. And we asked the county prosecutor and he said we have to keep them unposted. And I would not have known unless someone had written me a letter and said, you're in violation, take those signs down. So I am not encouraging carrying of guns in the park, but we have to take the signs down.
Do I have a motion?
All motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? All right. Under the Personnel Committee, we have a restoration of staff pay and hours. Ms. Whitman, would you like to review that?
So, I will say that now that things are kind of leveling out, we know what our hours are gonna be through the end of the year. The county is in orange. We're starting back to return some semblance of our services. And we'd like to now start bringing people back in and inching up their hours so that we can get them back to a normal pay cycle. We've lost a couple of people because their other job or another job is full-time and they can get better hours, and we don't wanna have that happen again. So we're gonna try to slowly get everyone restored. So this month, we're asking you for the items listed on page 22, which includes bringing the HKIC full and part-time staff from 50 to 80% of their hours. And then reference and search staffing, hours are increased for part-time circulation assistants and part-time reference staff from 50 to 60. And then we're bringing back 8 pages to work 20 hours a week. We've eliminated 2 positions because we know we are not going to bring them back, and now we know that. So we will carry them on insurance until the end of October, and we've given them warning now that that's going to happen. So that will help us keep things clean. And we're sad to lose them, but there is no work. And then we would like to restore the managers to their rate of pay, effective September 19th, and also Debbie and I to our rate of pay, also on September 19th. And then I think next month we'll come back to you with some recommendations for full-time staff that have not been affected by these restorations. So hopefully by the end of October, we'll have everybody back as much as we can bring them back. That's the goal. So this is part 1, and next month will be part 2. And we're taking it slow, but obviously our goal is to get people back to work as much as we can possibly have them, considering we have reduced hours and we're trying to keep things socially distant.
And Nancy, if I might also add on, what this resolution doesn't list is the fact that in the time since we closed back in March up till now, we've lost 5 full-time staff members in public service. And off the top of my head, I can count 7 part-timers who all worked about 20 hours a week. So through attrition, we haven't replaced those positions. However, increasing staff hours will help to cover those hours that we've lost.
Right, and we know that coming in the winter, we'll need a little extra padding in our staffing because people will get ill or they'll have family members that they're taking care of just with regular sicknesses, not even COVID.
Cold
And
and
then-
flu season.
Right, if they do happen to be exposed to COVID, then we have to quarantine and isolate. So we're just trying to get to an operating volume that will both help us maintain our staff and return them to some normal rate of pay and
Provide service to the public.
Right. We know we are still on short hours, so no one's gonna be back. We're not gonna bring people back to 100%, but we wanna get them back as much as we can.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Llewellyn,
Yes.
Mr. Gerbach,
Yes.
Ms. Iwamoto,
Yes.
Mr. Russo,
Yes.
Toracchio.
Yes.
I do want to add also that we are keeping an eye on the budget, and because we were proactive early on, we will hopefully have a nice little cushion going into 2021 that will help us weather some of the financial storm that everyone tells us is coming.
Did you get a friend's
I did not
report?
get a friend's report.
Mr. Russo, do you have any president's report?
Not tonight.
Okay, Ms. Levin, director's report.
Okay, well, you saw in the director's report, the first part was about Spark. And also we wanted to thank the Friends of the Library for providing our staff with Tommy's milkshake coupons. They received them at the beginning of September, which was a nice respite from the heat. And also a little boost for Tommy's, which is a much loved local business in the Coventry neighborhood. I also wanted to tell you, so sometimes you don't know how you're going to be needed. And last week I got a call from Nancy Kepler at the school district, and she said, you know, I heard you tell me that you were getting extra hotspots. Do you have any that aren't circulated yet? And I said, yes, we do. And within a couple of days, Jackie Mays and Heather Weiler helped us round up hotspots from all of the branches, and we were able to give 30 hotspots to the school district on long loan so that they may pass those on to families who have young children who either one hotspot wasn't enough for their family because they had more than one learner in the house and sometimes they were all sucking down the bandwidth, or there were a few people who got missed on the first round. So they came over last Friday and picked them up, and they already distributed most of them. So it was nice to know that we intended them for students and they're in the hands of students. And we still have about 30.
We have 50
We
that are
have 50
still
more, 50
still
more
circulating to the public.
that are circulating, and not all of them are gone right now, I don't think. So if anyone is looking for a hotspot, you can still approach us at the library and check them out. So, but that was a really nice thing, and I'm glad we were able to help them. We also purchased tutor.com, which is a live online tutoring service with real people. So I think I've heard from people in the community that they're really happy to have that as well. I'll skip a couple of things. Tomorrow is the big day for Lee Road. We are going to be open for browsing and for computer services by appointment. I've heard some feedback that people weren't thrilled with the appointment part of the computer service, but in order to keep people socially distant and keep a number of people in one area where they're sitting, and keep everyone safe, we're gonna stick to it and weather the storm of complaints and hope that people will get used to the idea. We know that 45 minutes isn't very long, so we may be able to adjust on that as we see how busy we are. But it's all, you know, I say this is our first pandemic, so we're just trying not to have people sit too long in one place because of their aerosols in the air, and also keep the staff safe as well. So we'll adjust as we need to. The new Check Us Out should be in your mailboxes. If you haven't looked at it, take a look. There are many, many programs that use creative measures to get around that nasty virus. Lots of programs outside, things on Zoom. You can go through the Peace Park and find a rock that has been painted especially for you in a scavenger hunt. All sorts of fun things. And Debbie, Kim, and I are starting to work on the 2021 budget. And basically it's going to be a lot less than 2020. Let's see. We did present the tenants of Coventry School with a lease today. It's still under negotiation, but the goal is to have it signed and ready to go by October 1st. It followed the LOI, the letter of intent. So there shouldn't be too many surprises. And there was some discussion about that utility payment, and we said it was 12,000. They said it was 10, but they didn't realize that we had put in all of the things that used to be called shared amenities. So the Wi-Fi, the trash collection, and the security. So once they figured that out, they kind of went, oh, that's what it is. So I don't think we're gonna have a dispute about that. I hope we don't, because it's an actual number.
Nancy, can I ask a quick question just about that?
Yeah.
Because I had somebody from the building say, hey, I know like the deadline that was originally put forth of like the 15th of September didn't happen for the big lease. So what's happening with the tenants? Are they okay while this, the LOI and the big lease is going forward, or is there something?
Yeah. Their leases from June are on holdover. So that means that they've been extended, and they were extended until now, September 30th. And if we're still negotiating in good faith, we will extend it, but the whole idea is to get that lease, the new lease signed by October 1st, so we can get them onto the new lease, as opposed to the old lease. And there are still a few little important but small things that we have to close up about the old lease, but I think we can get those handled, and then everyone will be in the new lease. And the difference is that we'll be dealing with one entity. They'll be paying their utilities in one big lump to us, and then we'll pay them from our coffers, and we'll be reimbursed. And at the end of the year, there'll be a true up. And I think we said that if they don't like the vendor, they can change a vendor, but they have to be responsible for getting it all worked out, things like that. So, and the other big thing about the new lease is that it has a provision at the end of its term, which is next October, that if everything's all good and they've met certain criteria, it can now begin a longer term. So that would happen automatically if all those conditions are met. So as soon as we have signed leases, we can make that document public, and we will hopefully be well on our way to having them be independent of the library, and we will have accomplished what we set out to do, which would be very nice. And I'm already working on other partnership things with the tenants, all in different capacities, with Lakeview Inc., with Family Connections, with Future Heights. So we need to get on with our work and do all the things that our city needs us to do, and I'm very excited to move on to that next step. But thank you for asking. Okay, so we also received a new arrival last week. The automatic material handling system was installed in circulation. I was kidding around on Facebook and dropping some teaser pictures. Once we get it really operating, we'll share that with the public as well. With COVID, people cannot return their materials into the slot yet because they have to go into quarantine. But we are going to start taking the things out of quarantine and working them through the sorter to get them into the bins and then onto the shelf. So we'll be using it with items that have been quarantined for 5 days, and it will make our workflow that much smoother. And it's very pretty and it's very big.
But it's not so big that it's overwhelming the workroom. There's still
it's tall.
room for the
It's like as tall
staff.
as me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're really excited about that. And when we open, you can come and see it. And I think I heard that the circulation staff are going to name it. And other libraries have called it things like the Beast, although it's a friendly giant. It's a friendly giant. So that was a big deal. That was many years in the making, and I'm excited about that as well. And then I guess the last thing is that this Saturday and Sunday, the Coventry parking lot will be getting a beautification from 2 Cleveland Heights artists, thanks to Gabe and her hard work. And hopefully the weather will cooperate and we'll get our beautiful Black excellence across the middle of the parking lot. Gabe, do you have anything else you want to say about that?
No, that was a good summary. One of the artists is a Cleveland Heights alumni and actually has a business on Coventry. So he was looking for a way to give back to his community and is really excited about this. So yes, please say a prayer for us that the weather holds out on both days.
And the parking lot was repaved, so it's ready to go, and it should be really nice. And then I guess the last thing is that if anyone wants to help with gardening in the park, the Coventry branch is now loaning out tools. So and the branch manager will be happy to tell you the areas that need attention. So if someone would like to spend a day gardening, we will absolutely welcome volunteers, and they should call the Coventry branch. Okay, in here, we also have the communications report, and we're still working on the anti-racism task force and trying to get the focus groups together. I think people are kind of zoomed out, so our first go round only attracted a few people, and we're going to regroup and see if we can do a better job of getting participants. Maybe now that school's back, it'll be easier for people to commit some time. And I'm just looking through Cheryl's report. Oh, also in the service and administration policies, we created a COVID pandemic code of conduct, which basically adds to our regular code of conduct that one must wear a mask and must wear it appropriately over the nose, over the mouth. And if you don't, then we'll ask you to please step outside and we can serve you outside. That's the main thing. And please maintain 6 feet of distance. There you go. There is a government report, but I can let you read that yourselves. The updated sad thing, I guess, was that the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections was going to let a number of libraries be places where people could drop off their ballots who are voting absentee, but that was overturned by Frank LaRose, because there's some rule about having only one drop box in a county. I don't know when they made that rule, probably when they were like very rural counties, but it's kind of silly to me. And hopefully that will get resolved as we get closer to the election, and they will let libraries be trusted places where you can drop off your absentee ballot. That's it.
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and go into the July and August combined public service report. I won't go through every highlight, but the first one I wanted to mention was our total participation from summer reading, specifically in this case, adult summer reading. So I highlighted there were 121 participants total over the summer, which of course is much lower than we typically get. But considering that we had to go to an exclusively online platform this year, I don't think it was too terrible. I mean, these are such uncertain times that if this provided some entertainment for 121 of our customers, then we will take it. So I've also included some of the programming numbers that are still going on. In circulation, we've got the July and then the August report of what our circulation traffic is at all locations. So Ty's been keeping track of that, and you can look at that very in depth if you'd like to. I've included some highlights from at the time, over the summer, we've only had 3 people in the continuing education department doing some online activities for customers, doing one-on-one phone technology appointments. So you can read about that as well. The Coventry highlight was the outdoor Tai Chi classes, which I think their plan is to hold those outside as long as they possibly can. As you know, they've been held at Coventry 3 days a week for years and years, and it was nice to get that group back together. Other highlights over at Noble, we still have a very strong relationship with the schools, and that was their highlight, a way that we can help participate with their outreach efforts as well. Several things from Maggie in the Special Projects Department, and then finally to complete the highlights, youth services numbers for the Bean Stack program. So we had much stronger numbers. We had 677 registrations for the youth services summer reading program, which again, while not as strong as our typical in-person numbers, that I think was phenomenal to get 677 children and teens to participate in summer reading, again, exclusively online. I think that's pretty admirable. Are there any questions about any of the highlights or any of the reports from the July and August? Okay, I will go into statistics. You've got an updated table for July and for August with our percentage of materials type circulation. Very similar numbers in July and August. Physical circulations make up about 75% of our total circs, with overdrive holding steady at about 20%, and then the other 4 or 5% is divided up into Hoopla, RV Digital, and Canopy. And just to let all of you know, I think I mentioned this several months ago before we had to go exclusively online, but RV Digital has been purchased by the same company that owns Overdrive. They are starting already to migrate our products together. I heard from our rep in the past week and a half, they've already started some of that migration and it's been successful. So what this really means is that probably by January, I won't have an RV Digital line. It'll just all be Overdrive. That's going to be the umbrella that those two lines are under. So when it gets to that point, I'll remind everybody again. But so that's where that's going. I am assuming, I have asked our vendors if our RV Digital deposit will then just be automatically transferred to our Overdrive account. Because for RV Digital, we pay out of a deposit. For Overdrive, they don't allow us that option. So, Jim, I see your message. Yes, if you have to go, we understand. I mean, I'll be quick, as quick as I can. So anyway, I am keeping track of those funds so that we don't just see those evaporate from the RV Digital account, but that we can transfer them to pay some of our Overdrive bills. Are there any questions about that? Okay, I'll move on to circulation. July and August numbers were similar to each other. Of course, they make up just a little over 50% of the July and August circulations that we saw a year ago. But again, that's our reality. We are hoping that by the time that it's time to talk about October numbers, that opening up for browsing, we will see certainly a return to higher circulations. Because even though customers can call in and get materials and certainly put things on hold on their own, we see it with the shelves here. Our materials are back. Our shelves are very full. Our staff is meeting, but we're really hoping that, again, by the time we have a full month of customers being able to browse and take things out again, that we'll start to see a rebound in our numbers. So that kind of is what it is. Visitor numbers, of course, are also down, although we saw an increase in August as compared to July. So I think we'll start to see even stronger numbers with the return of computers, with the return of browsing, with the return to school for so many people, and then with going into fall. So this summer, things were very, very light. I think it's COVID related, it's services related, and summer. So that's what I have. Are there any questions about anything that I can answer on statistics? All right, Debbie, I don't know if you want to say anything about meeting room.
Next month, I will be amending the meeting room usage that we did have the Census Bureau scheduled for, I think, 6 or 7 meetings, and I believe they were here for 4. And then we've had the poll worker training, and that's a task usually that one of my assistants pulls, and she's not with us anymore. She's working security hours, so I'm gonna have to go backtrack, and I could probably fill in numbers for July and August and add them to September then. But after September, the poll worker training will continue through the end of October. So we'll have some numbers that they're averaging, I think 20 people a training, and the days that they're here, they do 2 sessions. So it's more than 0, but not like it used to be. So it'll be reflected next month. Is there any unfinished business from the board or staff? Any new business?
No, I want to, Nancy, when you went over the face mask policy, you stated that, we'll be asking people if they do not wear their mask or whatever to step outside, and we'll service them outside.
Yes.
Right. I think it's important that I certainly hope, so I'll express my concern that that is a very temporary thing that we're doing as we, reopen and everyone gets used to, what mode of operandi you're going to be in as you service the customers. Because as we head further into October, November, December, we're not going to be able to do that. And if face masks,
There are, Debbie, or Dana, there are ways. I mean, if they, for some reason, have a disability or another reason why they absolutely cannot wear one, then they can use our drive-up service. They can call ahead, we can check out books to them and bring them to their trunk.
okay,
So we don't have to stand in the cold and do that. We're happy to do curbside for people. And other than that, we just want to eliminate the disruption to our services and not have them breathing on the staff or the public. So the idea is to end that discussion right away and not have a fight about it. If you want to wear a mask, you're welcome to be here. If you don't want to wear a mask, you can step outside and we can still provide library services like we are mandated to do. So it doesn't mean that they can't get things, it just means that they'll have to get them in a different way. And
yes, I don't have a problem with that. I think we talked about that even the last meeting. I'm okay with that. I'm hearing you. When you said it this time, it sounded like, because what you're describing now, great. Yeah, we have drive-up services. We were always going to use that. Or we have people with disabilities. I didn't want it to come across as,
you can't just say, I don't want to.
There's still a state order mandating it.
Right, it's the law.
come across as bartering. Like if we're going in and we're saying you have to wear, we have, if right now we're stating our intent is to reopen the library, thus to service our community, thus to keep our employees safe, etc. I didn't want it to come across, because it did to me when you said it, like it's bartering. So not the things where we need to make accommodations.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, and the rule is any person over 2 years old must wear a mask.
Yeah.
And you're right, we are not bartering. If you don't wear one, we will ask you to step outside.
Okay.
So it's and services will follow if you're being nice to, and amenable, but otherwise, we're not gonna have a fight with you, it's just the law.
Okay, that was my thought.
Yeah, and we've had plenty of, a lot of our senior citizens have expressed that they like the curbside service anyway. They don't want to come in and compromise themselves. So we've been doing it all summer, and some people are in a routine that they know to call to say, I'm in the parking lot, I'd like to pick up my materials. So that has sort of been a little bit of a benefit of this, is that the senior citizens who may struggle getting into the building anyway are getting that sort of premium service where staff are bringing their materials out to them. So that's just a little side note about what we've learned.
Right, but if someone wants to pick a fight and have a political discussion about whether or not they feel like it's a good idea to wear a mask, we're not doing that. That decision's been made. So they must wear one, and we actually are changing the signs in all the buildings, so they're much more forceful.
That's all I wanted to state is, you know, we want to be adamant because it's going to be new, it's going to be different. And, you know, like you said, we've had some practice run in some of the things, but we don't know what we're going to come up. I just anticipate it's going to be something, and I don't
You're
want
right.
us to waver.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Dana. It does help us with the staff. We know, they should know that we're gonna back them up.
Right.
The other thing that people will see when they come in tomorrow at Lee Road is there are no chairs. There's no place to sit, no tables. Please gather your things and say hello, and then please check out and be on your way. Because the idea of we don't want indoor transmission, and everyone's wearing a mask, so that will be good too.
And things went smoothly last week at the branches. We did a soft opening of browsing services at all 3 of the smaller branches. And none of the branch managers reported any problems. I talked to all of them over the weekend, and it was truly a very soft opening. And they didn't see a lot of great numbers, but customers were excited about browsing again, and there were no incidents. So that's a good sign.
Okay. So on October 5th at the committee meeting, we're gonna hear a proposal about Noble. I don't really know what they're going to say, so we'll all learn together and we'll see where we want to go with that one, and should be exciting. All right? I hope you have a great weekend. Maybe I'll see some of you out at the paint party.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Wait, one moment. What time will people be painting? I'd love to stop by.
Do you know?
So we're gonna do it in like a 2-day process. So the main painting will go on Saturday, and we're planning to start around 9. And there's 15 letters that we have to do, so we'll be there for a little bit of time.
All right, I'll stop by.
Thanks.
Motion to adjourn?
Almost.
Motion to adjourn. Oh, well,
Everybody.
Yeah.
Ms. Crenshaw, I'll give you the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned at 7:39. Thank you for your attention.
Be well,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
have a good night.
Stay safe, stay smart. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.